Robert, is he going to bring me on? Ask Robert, is he going to bring me on? Ask Robert, is he going to bring me on? Is he going to announce me coming on?
I gave to Jesus all that I had. It may not have been much, but he said it was just enough. Well, I gave him my heart that was torn apart. I fell to my knees and said, Lord, help me, please. But then he took my heart and he filled it with love. And I never thought that he would give me so much love. Love set me oh, it set me free. Love came down to save me. Oh, it set me. Yes, it did. I'm so glad about it. Love came down to save me. You see, I wake up in the morning with Jesus on my mind, giving praises to his holy name for his grace divine. Oh, well, I praise him for all my blessings and all the joy that he brings.
Joining us tonight is Oriel Alfred, our special guest, and as always, we're led by Reverend Dr. Robert L. Jeffrey Sr., our pastor and host.
Good evening. Welcome to the New Hope Bible class, Bible lecture series. Tonight, our guest is Oriel Alfred. Good evening, Oriel. How you doing?
Hi, I'm
How
doing
you doing?
good.
You doing pretty good? Good to
Yes.
see you this evening, rather. And welcome to our Thursday night Bible class. And we're just going to discuss your work. Oriel works with Mary's Place, and she's an outreach person at Mary's Place. So tell us a little bit about your work, Oriel.
So before we start, there is another person. Her
Okay.
name is, she's a Popsicle Place outreach coordinator with Mary's Place. Her name is
Okay.
Jada Jones. She's also
Okay. I see
on the
her.
panel. So she's going to explain to you about what she does as a Popsicle Place coordinator, outreach, what we do at Mary's Place, and then I will explain everything else that Mary's Place does as a whole.
Okay. Okay.
Is that okay? Okay.
Yeah. And before we start, I just want to say happy Juneteenth to everybody. And I don't know if y'all went out to the Juneteenth celebration. I didn't get the chance to go. I had a lot of things to do today, but we want to just say happy Juneteenth and recognize what that means for all of us. Um,
Yes.
so, okay, Jada, welcome.
Hello. Hi.
Welcome.
So I'll talk a little bit about Mary's Place. Mary's Place originally was a women's day center on 8th and Stewart. We eventually branched off into having three family shelters. It would be the Regrade, Berrien, and Bellevue. Currently, our Berrien location is under construction, but we still have three operating shelters. We also have the Allen Family Day Center, which Oriel will talk about later. But on the outreach team, we help families that are currently experiencing literal homelessness in their streets, tents, or actively fleeing DV and have had to fled their permanent residence. We help them with assisting with moving costs because that is a huge barrier for families. We help coordinate getting them into the coordinated entry system. Coordinated entry system is a system that gets families nominated for opportunities like rapid rehousing, permanent supportive housing, transitional housing. We are also able to help. Often we get families that are from another state or another country, and they get here and they realize that they would like to go back to where they came from. As long as they have a valuable housing solution, we're able to help with relocation. And we're just kind of able to navigate families wherever they are on their homeless journey. As outreach workers, we're physically able to meet families where they're at in their vehicles or where they're sleeping on the streets. We're able to bring them any resources that they need: food, sleeping bags, tents, warmer clothes, anything that they may need. Um, Popsicle Place is a program for the families that are eligible by being classified as having a child with extra medical needs, and needing some extra support, and also with the substance using moms that are currently pregnant. That is for the Popsicle Place families. We work out of the Allen Family Center, and I'll let Oriel explain a little bit more about what the Allen Family Center has to offer.
Okay. Thank you. Thank you, Jay.
So,
You're
so I am Oriel. I'm the outreach manager who oversees the Allen Family Center outreach manager. So what that means is that we have a building that is what it's at right on Mount Baker area where we have families come there. It originally it was just a like they can come and get resources, but now since we have families that literally have nowhere to go, um, while we like problem solve trying to find them somewhere to go, they'll stay at AFC all day until we find them somewhere to go. Sometimes we have to give them a tent, sleeping bags. They'll go stay at the airport if they're doing a relocation because we have nowhere to send them to. Um, we also partner with Bright Sparks, Mercy Housing, which is our landlords, because right on top of us is Gardner House, which this building opened in 2020, Jada. Yeah. 2020, and Mary's Place, let me see, took partnership in 2021. So, um, pretty much we give them resources. We families that are being evicted, we'll try to give them resources as to like who may have funding, who may have shelter, just problem solving, like how we can get them somewhere to stay. Um, let's see, what else should I tell you guys? We often work with different the city of Seattle to get people into tent city, tiny homes. We would anything we can do to get families off the street. When Jada says literal homeless, we go under the HUD definition of homeless, category one. So they have to be literal on the streets. If they're in a hotel, we do not classify that as being homeless. Um, did I miss anything, Jada?
We have Bright Sparks. Families are able to come in and get help with subsidy childcare and other caregiving needs for their children. The monthly events, sometimes they're fun events, sometimes they're centered around health and wellness, just depends on what we have going. We just did the Donuts with Dads last week for Father's Day. So it just depends on what we have for the month.
Yeah, and we also have one more partner, which is Prog- Progress for Alliance, and they work with families that are at the Horn of Africa. They do have monthly events. The primary language is Somali, but we are working on having English there as well. They do have positive parenting classes. We do have a kaleidoscope play and learn class that happens there twice a week through Bright Sparks. Um, yeah, families are welcome to come there. Even families that are housed are able to come there if they just need a break and are like one to let the kids like play in our play area. They're more than welcome to do that. They do have to oblige to the demographic questions that are asked in order to come in the facility for funding
wow.
purposes.
Yeah, that's a lot of services for homeless, and it's much needed out here. As you and I both, as we all know, these services are much needed. You know, I guess Ariel and Jada as well. Uh, we generally in these sessions, and people will be coming in during the week and looking at this. But we generally ask, what is your scripture? What is the scripture that uh, I, or a motto or something that a scripture that informs you about why you do this work? I mean, what is it that drives you to do this work? I'll start with you, Ariel.
Um, well, there's a lot of scriptures that I resonate with.
Okay.
Um, the one that most, well, do you want to know why I do this work or what my scripture is? Or do you want to
What
know the
scripture?
whole,
Yeah, well, both,
both?
both. And whether
I
or
do
not the
this work
scripture
because,
informs
yeah,
why you do it. Yeah.
yeah, I do this work because I feel like it's always been my calling to help people. Um, my mom wasn't in the best health to take care of me, and so, I seen her at her worst. She was always, homeless. My grandma took care of me and my siblings, and I just want to help people, because of what I have seen and what I hopefully never have to experience.
Yeah.
Um, but the scripture that resonates with me is, God, I don't always remember it off the top of my head. Um, God, hold on
Just tell me
just
what
a
it
moment.
says. I can probably tell you where it is.
Um, she is clothed in she
Oh, that's
is clothed.
Proverbs about the Proverbs about um, the godly woman. Right.
Yes, she is clothed with strength and dignity, and she laughs
Mhm.
without fear of the future.
Mhm.
I just feel like that is something that is always with me. I've instilled that in my kids, and um, I just feel like I have that
Okay.
presence.
And that's what you want to give to other people.
Yes, don't be afraid of the unknowing. Just walk by faith and not by sight. I guess is what I would also want to say.
Yeah. Explain what you mean by don't be afraid of the unknown? What do
Well,
you,
like there's like the world is so crazy right now. We don't know what's gonna happen, but just continue to live your life daily and do the things that you need to do, and trust in God, and He will lead us to where we need to be. Um,
yeah, that's really important for us to understand that we don't always know how things are going to work out. Tell me a little bit about how you grew up. Tell me, how many people in your family?
um, let's see. I have a brother and a sister that my mom had, and um, I was raised by my grandma, my auntie. She also helped raise me and my brother and sister, and my other auntie who was disabled lived with us also. Um, and we grew up in like Rainer Vista area, and then moved over to Martin Luther King and then Beacon Hill. So I was raised all the way in Seattle. Been in Seattle my whole life.
Yeah, yeah.
Um, yeah.
You were born here.
Yep.
Yeah. Okay. So Jada, tell me about your favorite scripture and why you do the work.
Um, I would say a scripture that resonates with me would be I could do all things through Christ that strengthens me. Um, as
Philippians.
long as you keep your faith and you lean on to him, you can get through it. Part of our job is empowering a lot of our clients. Sometimes it feels like there is no way out or they're going to be stuck in this situation forever. But as long as they have that faith and they hold on to it, they have to know that there's going to be a brighter day.
Yeah, yeah. That's empowering people who are homeless. That's a very
Mm-hmm.
difficult thing to do.
Mm-hmm. I mean, because at the end of the day, that's one of the lowest points. Not having a roof over your head, your basic necessities, especially when you have children depending on you and not quite understanding what is going on. And just letting them know that, we're going to get through this. This could happen to anyone, and especially in this economy, we
Yeah,
could all be one paycheck away from being
yeah,
homeless. But just knowing that we're in this together and we're going to get through it, it means a lot to people.
yeah, yeah, it really does. What are some of the most difficult things that you have to overcome? And this is to both of you in as you work with the homeless community. Some of the most difficult things that you've experienced.
Um, we get families with high barriers, multiple barriers, high evictions. There's reasons why they cannot work. So a lot of our job is problem solving, and a lot of it is also being honest. We'll get clients that they have certain expectations, and we kind of have to let them know the reality of it is this is what you can afford. The reality of it is you may have to go into temporary shelter or transitional shelter until you can get on your feet and get to a better place. Um, so I would say, setting that expectation and letting people know the reality of things, even if it's crushing their spirit for a moment, but just being
Mhm.
realistic with people, and having those tough conversations can be tough sometimes.
Yeah. How about you, Ariel?
Yeah,
Oriel.
I say like have like at the end of the day, working all day to try to find a family somewhere to go, and then at the end of the day, saying we have to give you a tent. It is sad, but when we see them with those keys and they got their place,
Yeah,
sometimes a testimony is always the best thing for someone. So um, I'm always grateful for that. Like, and I love to cheer them on when they get those keys. Like, I'm sorry I got to give you a tent, but there is gonna be light at the end of the tunnel. You're gonna get them keys, and then This is all gonna be water under the bridge for you. So
yeah,
I just believe in keeping people's spirits high when they're low.
yeah. That's really powerful. And I think that that's a part of what ministry is about, helping people to keep their spirits high. And so both of you sort of do this ministry, and which is really important for our community. Uh, so just tell me, so how long have you been doing this?
Um, the work in general, or how long have I been with Mary's Place?
How long have you been involved
With me.
in trying to make people feel better and help people to move from bad to good to better?
Yeah, I say it's been about 21 years. I want to say.
Well, you don't seem too much older than 21 years. Huh?
I know. I know. Thank you, say.
So you've been doing it almost all your life, then.
Yeah, yeah. I've been doing it since, yeah, long time.
So you keep you. What keeps you going? I mean, I know you told me that the whole concept of uh, being a honest and a woman of integrity uh, that you get out of the word. But what other things is there that keeps you doing this work when so many other people just walk by homeless people and keep and don't even think twice about it? What makes you think twice about it? Well, you said about your
because
mother, right?
because Yeah, because and we can always get there. As Jada said, we're all one paycheck away from it. And the economy is so bad, and I just feel like, um, you know, do unto others as I want done to me, and I
Hmm.
would always want to treat people with integrity and respect, and as I would want to be treated with integrity and respect if I was in this situation. And just my grandma was very kind-hearted and always tried to help everybody, and I try to live by her legacy always.
Yeah, your grandmother's still alive.
She is not. No.
She's not.
Mm-mm.
How about you, Jada? What keeps you going? And how long you been in this work?
I have been in social services for the past almost 5 years.
Okay.
Um, I was previously in banking, and at the end of the day, dealing with entitled people, I was just not feeling fulfilled at the end of the day, and I knew I wanted to do more. What keeps me going is something that seems so simple to me is a huge impact in someone's life. Um, Working with someone from start to finish when they're at their lowest and I see them progress and get employment and
Yeah.
they're getting their child their basic needs and they're finally moving into housing and thriving and able to be stable. Just seeing someone grow and walk along with them on their journey is definitely what keeps me going.
Yeah, that's powerful. That's powerful. That is that's what's missing in a lot of people.
Hmm.
I mean, they don't have that need to see other people's lives fulfilled.
Hmm.
You know, I think we live in a time when everybody's trying to fulfill their own lives, and sometimes at the expense of other people.
Hmm.
Yeah. What can the churches do better in as you in this work? I mean, I know there are churches involved in homeless work, but what can we do better to help deal with this homeless situation? Because it's a epidemic in our community, really. Ariel, you can start first. What do you think the churches can do better?
I feel like if the churches have the capacity to like start a shelter, there for organizations that are in need of shelter space. If they can like bridge that gap and start helping with that, that would help out a lot because a lot of organizations are losing funding, losing places to house families, and so that's a big, huge need. I feel like if they came up with like roundtable and discussions and like how can we help and like started helping more in the community, that would be great to get these families off the street. I know it's like a band-aid, but just like coming up with opening up more housing facilities for low income families, um, giving them starting like people that have like different abandoned buildings for if a pastor has like a some got money, got a hotel or something somewhere, something, seeing how we could help more into getting these families off the street because it's not getting better, it's getting worse,
Yeah.
and it's a huge need especially right now.
Jada, what do you think churches can do better?
Basically the same of what Oriel said. Even if you have a parking lot with enough room, reaching out to the city to see if you could host possibly a tiny home village. Um, Something as simple as serving, a hot meal once or twice a week. Some of our families, we're only able to give them cold food or snacks, but some of our families don't know when the last time they've had a hot meal. Just something as simple as that, putting together some hygiene kits, passing it out when the cold weather comes around, passing out hot hands, sleeping bags, warmer jackets. Just, it doesn't always have to be something that's huge. Just they're grateful for whatever you can do.
Yeah, yeah. People are grateful, very
Mhm.
grateful, and appreciative.
Mhm.
Yeah. So do you see a lot of churches involved and a lot of religious organizations involved in on the street, like when you're out there?
Before COVID, I did, but not so much now. I do not.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Why do you think that is?
I think everyone just got so used to being in their bubble. They just got out of the routine of going out there and doing that outreach and, talking to people, treating them like they're human, asking them their story. People don't do that as much anymore, is from what I see.
No, people are more sheltered and more, uh, yeah, more uh, cautious.
Mhm.
Yeah, I think that's something that COVID did to us. It made us cautious of other people because we weren't supposed to be around people, or if we were around people, we had to wear a mask and we had to be careful because they could make us sick. Yeah,
Mm.
I think that we did experience that. What about you, Oriel? What do you think what do you think is why there are not a lot more churches and other religious organizations involved in this, helping to solve this problem?
I think there is some churches that do, but it's like behind the scenes. But no, but it's like, and when I say behind the scenes, it's like giving out money or like delivering items, but like not putting forth like to help more. And I think it may, and I think Jetta is right on the right when she says that, is that because we're now, they're now fearful of like of everything that has happened. It's conditioned us to feel like, oh, if somebody coughs too loud, oh, there's COVID. Do they got something? I think that's a big thing. That's what's happened.
Yeah. But even beyond that, as a community, I know you see a lot of Black people and African American people come through your center. As a community, when I grew up, I mean, the community used to rally around these people, and we didn't have this kind of situation, and we didn't even have the jobs that we have now. Many of us were really poor and barely making it from day to day. What do you think has changed in our community in terms of how we are so separated from each other and disconnected?
I think the violence has a lot to do with it. Violence in the community is a big, huge thing. I think also just the lack of money and resources has caused people to be like fearful in COVID. But I don't really know how we get past all those things because where do we even start? Would it start like having more rallies, or how would that even, and who
I
would
think
come to the rally, and would it end bad in the rally? So,
I didn't understand what you said.
um, oh, I said like how would it, like everything started going bad and like people not coming to things because of like the violence that is going on in the community now. If we were to have a rally, would it be a peaceful rally or like a in bad with like violence and things? It's not the same as like it was, a long time ago. Things have gotten so bad in the world, so I don't know how we would get past all of that.
Well, one of the things is we don't have the sensitivity about each other as you have expressed. You know, that if you see somebody hurting, you want to make them feel better. In this
Yeah,
society, that's looked at as weak, that you're not a strong person, you know. For many people, not everybody, obviously not everybody, but for many people. Jada, what do you think of, you think that you think that's true?
I agree with Oriel. I remember as a kid, there was always parades, festivals, events. They don't really have that as much nowadays because of the violence and people don't want to bring their kids to stuff like that. So I definitely agree. I think that's a big part of it in our community. We need to figure out a way how we can all come together and lean on each other and have empathy for one another.
Okay. Yeah, I think the key word is empathy. Empathy is something that we definitely need to have. Yeah. So in your walk and in your work, um, how do you help people understand the need to have empathy, in terms of the people that you help? Do you think that you are helping them develop a sense of empathy for others, or they're going to just get the help and then not emulate what you guys are trying to teach? What do you think? You think people are learning the importance of empathy?
I think after um, we call our clients guests. So after a guest may receive services. And I think if they're treated with respect and dignity
Hmm.
and like a human being and not treated badly, I think they would go in to treating people, or like think about their actions before they do certain things. Like, I was treated this way, or they might go, if they were dealing with a different agency, they may be like, I was treated so respectful at Mary's place, but I went to this place, and this is how I'm treated. Um, and we do have a system that when a guest does finish working with one of the outreach specialists or coordinators, they would do what's called an exit interview. And
Hmm.
our exit interviews are stellar because our staff are treated with respect and dignity to the clients. They don't treat them bad. um, Everybody is very friendly and open and honest, and they treat people the way they want to be treated. So I think it's a learned behavior. If you're treated good, you will hopefully want to treat other people the way you're being treated.
Yeah, no, absolutely. That's where it starts. I think a lot of people are violent because they've been treated badly, and a lot of people are don't care about other people because nobody has really cared about them. It's sort of like a vicious cycle that people get into and can't find their way out of it. And it's people like you that help us to help people to stop and understand that life doesn't have to be like that, that we can give and help others, uh, and not just be about the, you know, fulfilling our own dreams and fulfilling our own selves. Sometimes in helping others, you do fulfill yourself. You do fulfill your own dreams. So you worked at a bank, Jada, and you said something about you got tired of seeing people who are only thinking about themselves. What is that all about?
Um, I just it was during COVID. A lot of people didn't know what was going on in the world. People are coming in wanting to withdraw the money in their account. And I just realized I was like, with everything going on right now, I could be doing more. I could be helping people who are literally struggling right now. And I
Mhm.
just knew I wanted to do more within my community and I wanted to help people. And I decided I want to make the switch over to social services.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. What kind of family how many siblings do you have?
I have two. I was raised by a single mother. I have an older brother and an older sister.
Okay.
My older brother has autism, and I have a sister who is also in social services through DSHS. She went to Howard, graduated, went to Howard for law, and decided that she also wanted to be in social services. So,
Yeah. Yeah. So you were sort of grew up in a family that helped other people.
absolutely. Yeah. And with being raised in a family that has a disabled sibling, I saw how people
Yeah.
helped my mom and the assistance
Yeah.
that she needed. So I knew I wanted to give back in that same way.
Yeah. 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 That does matter. Yeah. I
Mhm.
grew up in a family. My dad was a minister, and my mom was always trying to help other people. And so you sort of learn that, as you grow up, that sort of helps you to develop your own sense of empathy and need to help others.
Yeah.
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 So you see a lot of hurt, a lot of pain on the street. I guess sometimes you think about some things that we could be doing as a country to help eliminate some of this stuff. I mean, I don't know if you think about that, but if you do, what are some of the things that you think that we're doing wrong in the city and in the broader country? Oriel, I would start with you.
What are some things I think we're doing wrong?
Or some things that we could be doing better, I guess.
There's a lot of
You ever thought,
things.
well, go ahead. Let's start talking about it.
Like if there was just like more funding, more agencies that were helping for funding, like with everything going on, at least if we have more money. If there was like I'm trying to think of like what exactly I want to say. But my main thing is like more money. If there was more money to help people, or instead of building all these like new streets, right? If we were taking some of that money to like build more affordable housing for people that are literally on the street, or opening up more shelters, giving agencies money to like have these shelters, or just saying like, here's a shelter, you run the shelter, but you have to maintain it, or something like I feel like we got a lot of money going on stuff that we don't need necessarily, versus the things that we do need is like getting all these people off the street. Um,
Yeah,
it seems like it's gotten so much worse with like being homeless than it used to be. Like
mhm,
people crowding in certain areas to try to make a statement, and then they put a band-aid on it, and then they're right back out on the street again. Um, yeah, I just there's a lot of places I can't touch, but it's just I feel like more funding would be better, instead of building all these new freeways, spending some of
yeah,
that money on building some affordable housing that people can actually afford.
yeah. So why do you think that they're not doing this? Just your opinion.
I don't know. I
You don't know?
I don't know.
In your quiet moments, what do you think that what is the reason that you might think they're not doing this? How about you, Jada? What do you think? What are some of the
Um,
things you think we could be doing better?
like Oriel said, affordable housing, more shelter, um, job training programs, affordable trade schools, more
Yeah,
second chance programs for families that have eviction and have bad debt. Yeah, that's just the start. Maybe different qualifications to receive state benefits. We see families they let me say they barely have any income, so they qualify for state benefits. But as soon as they start making a little bit, those benefits are snatched away from them. But they're still barely making ends meet. So yeah, just to name a few.
so what do you think is the logic behind ignoring this problem, or not ignoring it, but not addressing it in the way that it should be addressed?
Um, I honestly, I don't know. Maybe it's because they've never went through it themselves and they don't think they'll ever go through it, so they don't seem to care.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know.
Okay. All right.
Or it could be
So
to keep us down. To keep us down. It's like give them enough, and then take it. So like even people that get like people that may have what do I want to say? People that may have like Section 8. As soon as you start making a lot of money, that's snatched away too. So it's like I'll give them a little bit, let them get on their feet, and then take it all away. And that's just how it seems to just keep happening for. It doesn't seem like there's a way that people can actually like get ahead and have a good way of living. Um,
yeah, yeah, um, yeah. I agree. I agree. So as a community, um, I think that you've talked about some of the ways that we can help out as a community to make the problems, um, help the situation for people so that they can improve their lives. Um, so why do you think I guess you've given reasons why we as a community are not as involved as we should be. So move going forward, um, how do you see the homeless situation in the next 4 to 5 years? You think it's going to get better, or you think it's going to get worse?
Well, I'm a manifest. It's gonna get better, but
All right.
manifesting it and thinking it,
Tell me
I,
about manifesting it. What? So that's a part of one of
if
your
I'm
scriptures.
speaking it into existence, hopefully it's gonna get better.
That's
But
part of one of your scriptures.
no,
That
I
is in
just
the
feel
Bible.
like
That is a part of the Bible. Okay,
really, yeah. If
but that's
I
good.
feel.
Go ahead.
Mhm.
Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was gonna say if I speak it, like if you speak negativity, you're gonna get negative things. If you speak
Hmm.
positivity, it's gonna be positive thoughts. So like if I'm speaking it positively, it's gonna get better for the homeless community. Um, but do I honestly, down in my heart, whole heart, think that the way things are going, I'm not too sure, but I want to be hopeful that it's gonna get better.
I guess one of the biggest things we have to do if we do this work is to always be hopeful. You never want to give up your hope because that hopelessness is also transferred to people. And they can also feel when you yourself are not hopeful. Uh, so
Yeah.
how do you think it's going to improve, Jada?
I hope it does. I'm gonna keep faith that it will get better, but I mean, only time will tell.
Yeah,
We need the city to step up. We need the state to step up. That's where all the funding is.
yeah, yeah, yeah. Okay. So I want to appreciate you both of you being here tonight, and so I just want to just ask you um, as two black women, strong black women working to improve our community. How are you treated, as you go forward? I mean, are you getting the respect and the appreciation you need, or do you think that you're being sort of held back or not appreciated enough? Oriel?
Um, like in life,
Maybe that's
or
not something you are affected by, but
oh, you mean like in life if
yeah,
I'm
in
being
life
treated
or
with
in on the
respect?
job, in life, everywhere.
Oh yeah, yeah. I feel like Mary's Place is a wonderful place to work.
Hmm.
I am treated with respect and dignity. I've been
Hmm.
there for 5 years, and I started off as a specialist, and then I was a coordinator for like what, a year or so, and then I moved up to a manager. So and it's like the best place I've ever worked. I feel like it's a great place to work. Definitely treated with respect and dignity. I think if there's openings, people should apply.
Okay. So in terms of you, Jada, do you say the same thing?
Absolutely. I think we are recognized. We're definitely treated with respect. I have the best boss ever, Oriel, which helps being led by a strong Black woman. So, absolutely.
Yeah, yeah. So when you deal with the homeless problem, what is the ratio of women to men uh, out there in the street right now? What would you say the ratio is?
Mm,
I
Is it
think
half
it's
and half?
I wouldn't say half and half.
yeah. I think because of our population, because we work with families, we see a lot of families with the mother and the father. But as far as single mothers with just the children, we do see that quite often. So I would say it's about half and half for
Mm.
sure.
So what effect do you think that this homeless situation has on the children when they have to go through it with their parents?
It could be
I think it,
traumatizing. Coming home from school thinking you're going to go to your home that you've always went to. You don't have that bedroom, that TV. You're not in the neighborhood with the same friends that you've grew up with. That could be traumatizing.
Yeah,
And a lot of the time, it's so traumatizing that it becomes generational, and we get families and they're like, I was homeless when I was a kid. That trauma can be passed down.
Yeah. But trauma is genetically passed down in terms of genetic memory. So
Mm-hmm.
it is passed down.
Mm-hmm.
Um, that's right. That's probably the source of a lot of the violence that trauma is being passed from generation to generation.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Do you guys do anything extra for the kids or to help them sort of overcome this trauma?
We don't so because we're outreach, sometimes
Yeah.
we might see a family for a day
Yeah.
and never see them again because it might
Yeah.
be a quick
Yeah.
solution, or it could be that they're waiting to get into our shelter for like 60 days. So they
Yeah.
come every day, or they're calling every day, or we see them like once a month. They'll come in to take a shower. It all it all it all varies. And so for the children, we have a play area, we have books for their language. And we also have like, if it's their birthday, we have like these birthday clubs that they can do like to celebrate their birthday. We just have to order it in a time for their birthday so they don't miss it. And so, to try to keep it as normal as possible, we do have certain things that we can do. um, but we don't have enough interaction to,
Yeah. Because you on to the next one. There's so
yeah.
many. Once you don't have a lot of time to spend with one family. I understand that.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if we do have a family that is like experiencing more trauma, like with the DV, and there might be, the child is experiencing different things like maybe PTSD, and she might be autistic or having certain things going on, we can refer out to get them the help they need. But we don't have a way to like
Yeah. Yeah. Uh-huh.
continue on.
Yeah. So I think that it's probably I think that it is the trauma that um, poverty does to children that leads a lot of the violence that we see in our community. I just the memory of the pain that they go through sometimes is leads them to inflict pain. Yeah. How did you deal with your trauma, Oriel?
um my trauma.
Yeah, you said your mother,
well
it's not
well
always.
I've been with my grandma since I was born.
Mm,
So I was never like full
but it
ever with
didn't.
my mom. We were
You
raised
never had
like
any
as a
feelings
sister.
about that. Yeah.
Well, I seen her go through domestic violence, and I seen her with abuse issues, and I never wanted to do those type of things. And so I've always been more mindful of like, you know, I don't like drugs. I don't smoke cigarettes. She smoked cigarettes. She did drugs, and I don't like drugs. And so I've always tried to go the opposite of what she did. She had me at the age of 14 years old, and so she's more like my sister than my mother. But I've seen, even though she didn't raise me, I was always around her because she would come from time to time from wherever she was, and then my grandma opened up her house to like all of our family. So she always came over, and she was always around me growing up.
So what's some of the advice you would give somebody who may be going through that same experience?
I don't know. I don't know. Um, I think just trying to see the good in the situation, because I was just talking to actually one of my kids about this, and
Okay.
I was actually last night I was telling her that even though my mom was on drugs, I thank God for the way it took my life, because I never been on drugs, and Even though she had to be the one to be on drugs and her children, I didn't go down that road. I thank God the way my life turned out in general,
Yeah.
that I never was on drugs or anything like that, and that she was who she was, and I don't fault her for any of her life decisions that she made. We live and we learn. Um, because she was still a good mom. Just she just wasn't a present mom. That's all. She just was more like my sister than my mother. But you know, she's still my mom regardless.
One
So
of the key things, you said is you can't spend your time or life blaming others who may have not done what they're supposed to do. I mean, we can either live our lives and pointing out blame and making people responsible for our lives or for the trauma in our lives, or we could not do that. We could just say, I'm not going to blame her, which is what you just said. I'm not going to
right,
spend my life blaming anybody about my life. I'm just going to look at what they did wrong and not do it, you know?
exactly. And when you're on drugs, are you in your right mind? You're not.
Yeah,
And so you're not making clear, conscious decisions, and so with that, I could never blame her for that. She wasn't in her right mind for her decisions that she was making. So,
yeah.
you know, um, so I
No,
just, I just thank
no, go
God
ahead.
for
I'm
all
sorry.
the way my life turned out in general. My grandma raised me. She was definitely there for me from the time I was born, which was early, and the time she left this earth. Sorry, here comes my daughter.
No, that's fine. That's fine. So, Jada, how did you deal with being a sibling with a special needs uh, sibling? I mean, because I think sometimes that can be kind of traumatizing when they get a lot of attention and you don't, I don't know. I grew up in a family with 16 children, so
Wow.
that was traumatizing.
I wouldn't say it was traumatizing. I would say it just helped me mature a little bit earlier in life. And, you know, being raised by a single mom, that meant me and my sister often had to step in and, kind of step in as that role as being a caretaker. And I think it molded me to the responsible individual that I am today. It kind of as an adult, it made me realize, how tough it must have been for my mom, but how hard she worked because we never went without. I'm fortunate to say that we were never homeless or, had to worry about housing or where we were going at that night. And that just makes me appreciate my childhood so much more. And even though she was a phenomenal mother, it just makes me want to be an even better mother to my child.
Yeah, 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 yeah. Those are trouble doesn't have to break us. Problems don't have to break us. Bad experiences don't have to break us.
Mhm.
And I think that you guys, both of you, are witnesses to the fact that sometimes problems and trouble mold us and make us better human beings that can make a difference in this world. And I, just I think that I guess it's a matter of perspective. Some people look at their lives as I had to go through this, I had to go through that, I had to endure this, I had to do that. And then some people look at their lives as, yes, I went through that, but that helped make me who I am.
Yeah.
I guess that's two kinds of people,
Yeah.
you know, and our world is filled tragically with too many of the other kind, you know, people who are always complaining about uh, what they had to go through. And I guess that defines, in many instances, where we end up, how we end up, whether we end up doing or being positive and doing the kind of work you guys are doing, or whether we end up not doing that work and maybe sometimes end up homeless or end up in despair, you know. So I think that that's you guys are great examples about uh, how all of us should deal with the bad things in our lives. So did you want to comment about that or anything? Either one of you?
No, I agree with what you're saying. Um, I feel like very thankful for just life in general because it's not promised to any of us. And the way the economy is going and way the everything is going on the streets, I'm just thankful to be here. So and thankful to be doing what I want to do and still have breath in my body and be healthy.
Yeah. It's life is what you make it. Yeah. You when life
Yeah.
deals you, I know we were not all dealt the same deck of cards, but it's all about what you make it.
Yeah, some people were dealt better deck cards,
Mhm.
you know. So you're right. I mean, yeah, it's what you make it. Yeah.
Yep.
So as we wrap this up, you're both hopeful about the community. You're both hopeful about how things are going to turn out, um, and you both work extremely hard, right? I know this work, and I know it's hard work, especially when people are we're not able to give people what they need.
Hmm.
Like you said, the tent. When you can't give them a key, you have to give them a tent. That's heartbreaking that you have to do that sometimes. Uh, but that's I know that that's a part of your job.
Hmm.
So I want to thank both of you for coming on and for talking about um, talking from your heart about this work, um, and talking from your heart about why you do this work. And it's important for people to know that people are out here trying to make a difference. I mean, everybody is not out here just, you know, going for themselves.
Yeah.
Some people are out here trying to make a change in our community. And,
Hmm.
I think that's very important. So I want each of you to just, as we close, give someone who might be listening and who might tune in later on this week, how they can sort of adjust their lives to be more empathetic and be more to reach out more and to be less uh, you know less of a person who just thinks about what people did wrong to them. So
Um,
how do you do that? How do you stop thinking about how do you not get upset about what people did wrong to you? I think that that's something that how do you not do that? What is in you that makes you not do that? So we'll
um,
start. Okay, go ahead, Jada.
I don't know if I quite understand your question. Can you repeat it?
So I think both of you have this kind of mindset that says, "I'm going to go on. I'm not going to worry about all of the problems that that I encounter." But what is it that helps you to do that? What is it about you inside you that helps you do that?
I try to see the good in everyone. Um, you never know what someone's been through to make them treat people a certain way. And For me, myself, I'm just going to forgive them and I'm going to let God take care of them.
Okay. So you have faith. Faith helps you
Hmm.
do that. Your
Hmm.
faith.
Absolutely.
Yeah, and you said that that there's good in everybody.
There is.
You
I
believe
believe it
that?
is.
Yeah.
Some
Yeah.
people are hurt and they may take that out on people, but I do believe
Yeah.
there is good in everyone.
Yeah. Yeah. I think you can't do this work without believing that.
Hmm.
And that and Oriel, you said something about uh people do things, but sometimes they do them because and they're not responsible for what they do because of what life has done to them. And you have to take that in consideration.
Right. There's hurt people that hurt people. And
Yeah.
so, you still have to just I love hearing people's stories because I feel like everybody has a story that turns into a testimony.
Yeah.
Um and I love to like when I used to work with clients directly, that was my main thing. And
Uh-huh.
just like, what's your, when they tell me about what's going on, and I'm quick to tell them like, this is a testimony.
Yeah.
After this is over with, you now have a testimony that you can tell to the next person that may be going through this and help them through their journey.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah,
um,
you're right. And that's great that you like to hear people's stories. I like to hear people's stories too, because it's empowering to know how people make it. It's empowering to know how people work through struggles. And it's empowering for people to know that they can work through their difficulties and get through their problems. And that's one of the reasons why I wanted to talk to both of you tonight so that you can let people know that, yeah, I do this work. My life has not been, dropped down from heaven. I've gone through some things, but I do this work because I want to make, the world a better place. And I'm not attached to the pain. I don't allow the pain to control my life. I try to
yeah,
control the pain, which both of you do. And I try to move away from the pain and not or let it totally dominate who I am. Okay, as we close tonight, I think we got a little, we got time for maybe two things or three things that you want to tell somebody to do right now. If you were standing in front of a large congregation of people and you could say, I want you to do these three things to make our community better for the homeless. What would be the three things you would tell them? I think you've already mentioned some of the things, but we might be repeating ourselves, but as we close, I want to put it on their minds. Oriel, let's start with you first.
that I want. Oh, sorry, that I would want to tell the
People that
community
they
or
need to
tell.
do right now, rather, that the community needs them to do.
Um, I don't know. I think I've already said it, Pastor.
Okay. Yeah,
Um,
you have already you have already
um,
said,
yeah, I think just I don't know. Can you give an example of the community? Because I think what I need them to do, they don't
I
really
mean, just
have the
an individual person who may be sitting in their home right now. What can they do?
I would say the next time you see a homeless person, don't be quick to judge them. Talk to them, treat them like a human, ask them their story, ask them, is there something you can do for them? Or simply, pray for them. That might mean the world to them.
Yeah, that's powerful. The next time you walk down the street, you see somebody laying on the street, don't just pass by them. Talk to them,
Hmm.
and like you said, listen to their story.
Hmm.
I mean, because they have a story,
Hmm.
and many of them don't mind telling it. As
Yep.
a matter of fact, that you're probably the only person that that they will talk to that day, that they can talk about why they're where they are, and don't make assumptions,
Yeah.
because like you said, we're all one paycheck, can be one paycheck away from being homeless. So that's a good suggestion that all of us should, when we pass by home, and all of us do, because there's so many in the city, you can't go
Mm-hmm.
out and walk without passing by a homeless person. That's just becoming almost impossible. So we should at
Mm-hmm.
least talk to them and know the story.
Yeah.
And that story will help us,
Yeah.
in ways we don't even can't even imagine. That might be a story that we need to make it through the problems we're going to, and to treat them as a human being and get them help if you can.
Mm-hmm.
Okay,
Or they
Oriel,
can
did
put
you come up with one thing? Okay,
oh
go ahead.
yeah, or they can put like, a cup of noodles or a apple or $1 or two in their car, and like I know I do that all the time
Yeah,
when I just keep a couple
yeah,
dollars in the car and I
yeah,
give them to my daughter and have her give them to people. Or if I
yeah,
have a snack
yeah,
pack in my car, I'll give it to a homeless person. If I have like a sleeping bag or something, I have
yeah,
pulled over and given people sleeping bags.
yeah,
And I think if people did more stuff like that, just
yeah.
because
Just
instead of judging their
yeah,
situation, help their situation. Because
yeah, yeah,
some people in the world do not want, they don't want shelter.
yeah,
They just want
yeah,
to, they want to live on the street for
yeah, yeah,
whatever reason they have. They are okay with living on the street, but
yeah. They're not
they're
ready
treating
to
their
come
health
in
broken
yet.
down.
Yeah,
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 or they don't want to. I've heard, when I worked at other places, they've told me like I don't want to listen to nobody's rules, so I'd rather just stay on the street.
yeah,
And if that's their way about it, then you know I'll still have like I carry a lot of stuff in my car, and I often give it to people um,
yeah.
as I pass by, and I
Yeah,
think if more
I
people
try to
did
leave the house. I don't try to I try not to leave the house with a little change in my pocket, because you never know when somebody's gonna need a dollar or two, just some soup, or just to make it through the day. These are things that everybody can do.
yeah.
Everybody can do. Simple things that we all can do to make the situation of homeless more bearable and more tolerable to the people who have to suffer through it. Thank you for tonight. I really appreciate both of you. I hope, I've asked some good questions. I don't know. I sort of stumbled a little bit. But I
No,
thank
you
you.
did good.
I
Thank
thank you
you.
for your honesty, and for your openness, and for your information that you gave about Mary's Place. So we want to everybody who looks at this will know where Mary's Place is. So thank you, and have a blessed evening.
You as
You
well. Thank
too.
you for
Thank
having
you,
us.
Guthrie.
That's all right. Thank you for coming.
Bye bye.
God bless both
Bye
of
bye.
you. Bye
God
bye.
bless you too.
Done.